Okay, welcome back folks to the Wanneroo channel. Hope everybody's doing good. Thanks for tuning in. So today we're moving forward with our CFE pistol project with the small pistol primer 45 ACP brass. So in the last episode with the load that we had, it didn't really work out all that good. We had a number of jams. We had some stovepiping going on, very weak ejection out of the gun. We had scorch marks on the brass, kind of signifying low pressure. And, just didn't work out for us at that powder charge. And I think a lot of it too is also the fact that we're using small pistol primers. They have kind of less of an oomph than the large pistol primers. So, that's kind of part of it, I think, too. And as I mentioned in the past video, small pistol primers is one of those things I think where, probably in the future, the focus is just going to be on large pistol primer for 45 ACP. But anyways, interesting little experiment. So, I think one of the things that you find whenever you do reloading is that you never really reach the point where you just know everything. And as you go through the process, you're going to learn more and more. For me, I've been doing it now for 8 years successfully. I'm not the same reloader I was 5 years ago or whenever I started. And I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll be off to all sorts of other different things out there. And we'll have learned quite a bit. So I think that's the thing is, as you kind of go through the process, you're going to learn more and more. And so even whenever things don't work out that well or loads don't work out or whatever, you kind of learn from that. There's all sorts of different powders out there. I mean, really, we almost have too much in the way of choice of powders. So there's tons of powders out there. I mean, there's even all sorts of different brands of primers. There's all sorts of different types of bullets, even, brass manufacturers. I mean, think of all the variations out there. So it's kind of unlimited. And so as you go through the process, you learn all these different things. You learn what kind of works for you, what doesn't work for you. What might work for me might not work for you, and so on. So, I think that's kind of a lot of it is just kind of a learning process. Now, with the powder charge, the powder charge that we had was kind of fairly, turned out to be kind of fairly weak with what we were doing. So I went ahead and bumped it up. So I've had this discussion on different gun forums before online and have talked about this. And, a lot of folks in terms of, where do you kind of go in terms of whenever you go to up your powder charge? Is there some sort of like set amount that you use or whatever? I've seen people say like, well, okay, whenever you go to do your loads and you stair step it up 0.1 grains each time, pistol or rifle, doesn't matter. And other people say 0.2 or, all that. I've always had the belief that you have to kind of like take all the information all together. And a lot of it is depending on what you're loading or what your aim is or whatever it might be or how close you might be getting to max, different things like that. And then you have to kind of make a good decision. So for instance, maybe also too with some powders where there's kind of a narrow window, or something. And I might be getting close to what I think might be the max, for pressure reasons or whatever it might be. To where I don't want to have any issues, in that case, then, it might be a more conservative approach where I might stair step it up, 0.1 grains or whatever. And then in other cases like this, we're so kind of far behind the curve of, of having a load that really works and cycles the gun properly, that for me, moving up 0.1 or 0.2 grains in this case is not really going to advance the football down the field. So, I made the decision to go ahead and bump it up 0.4 grains for this. and we're still we're still a little bit off the max. Looking at some of the data. Let's see here. So yeah, we're still kind of even way off the max, really. Comparing kind of the different data that I have from different sources. So there's still kind of room there to grow also. So again, it's a thing where you have to kind of have a seat of the pants feel and kind of decide, depending on all the different circumstances, and kind of figure out what works for you in that situation. So, like I said, the decision I made is, if I just go another 0.1 or 0.2 grains, it's not really, moving things down the road. So I went with 0.4, and we'll look and see how that performs, and then from there, if we need to bump it up more, then we can. So we'll kind of see how this turns out. So we'll do this load, and the convenient thing is I have my own range, so I can use it 24 hours a day. So perhaps for summer loaders, what they might do is they might go ahead and make different loads, like let's say that they use like the 0.2 stair step. They might make a load 10 or 20 rounds with 6.2, and then 10 or 20 rounds 6.4 and 6.6. That way when they go to the range and they test that out, they're already prepared and ready to go. And if they reach that point where they think, 6.4, that works for me, I guess at the end of the day, they could pull their bullets out of the 6.6s or whatever it might be, if they wanted to do that. So, so typically for me, like whenever I go do my range stuff, I'll just make one load, and that's what I kind of go with. And then if I need to, I come back down, come over and basically make these, and then I can go back to my range and, get them done. So anyways, that's our little talk here for that. And then, so what we'll do is we'll get these loaded up, and then we're going to head out to the range, and we're going to go ahead and shoot these. And we're also going to replace the battery in the chronograph, and hopefully that works good this time, and we don't have any issues with that. And then hopefully everything goes good, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay. All right, folks, so that was actually 2 months ago. So it's amazing how fast time moves on, and and all that. So got very busy over the holidays, as I'm sure a lot of y'all did too. So but we're back at it. So we're going to finish this up. Essentially, I started to run out of the small pistol primer brass, and with the load that I had, I did test it out, and so it does work fine. So, but I just didn't have time to film it. But so whatever brass I had left, we went ahead and loaded it up, and I think I did end up with, I don't know, maybe about 80 or so. So we do have some, and we're going to go ahead and finish it off, and we'll show you the chrono data, and then at the end we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I do have some conclusions on this, and so you'll get to see what those are. All right, so it's winter time, and the sun is low in the sky, and in the winter it kind of shines all in here on the range. So hopefully we won't have too many issues with the lighting. There's not really a whole lot I can do about it. But we got our new chronograph here. This is one of those Competition Electronics Pro Chrono DLX. So I'll be doing a review on this here pretty soon. And also just downloaded the software, so I'm going to be getting that up and running. I don't know if it'll let me film while I do the data and record the data through Bluetooth, so I'm not sure if both things will work at the same time. But that's fine. I got plenty of ammunition, so I can go ahead and shoot a string for the camera, and then also shoot another one for the data as well, and we'll see where we come out. 707, 730, 728, 731, 694, 684, 707, 664, 730, 722. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up this project with the CFE pistol powder and the small pistol primer 45 ACP brass. So quite a few conclusions I have with this. The first thing I'll do is I'll read you out the data from the Competition Electronics Chrono. And first I'll tell you, so far I've been pretty happy with it. The software seems to work better. That was one thing with the Caldwell years ago. Sometimes the software would be a little bit flaky with it. So far, at least with this app on the phone with this Comp Electronics Chrono, seems to be working pretty good. So happy with that. This is the data I got. I shot 3 strings, but I'll just give you the data from one of the strings. 709, 670, 680, 654, 720, 731, 710, 702, 683, 672. So anyways, not great. So here's the thing, first off, is that I kind of took this as just kind of an experimental type thing. I've been shooting 45 ACP with tight group for target loads and power pistol with kind of, if I want more serious hard hitting loads, and I've been very happy with it, and not a complaint. But number one, the small pistol primer brass, I thought I'd give that a try because I had some of that just laying around, and so I thought, okay, well, we'll see what it'll do. And then the other thing was CFE pistol right now is very common at the gun stores, so I haven't had any problem around where I'm at finding it on the shelves, so I went ahead and got some to try it out. First thing I'll say is 45 ACP with small pistol primers. To me, it's dumb. Now, a lot of folks out there, I know I've seen videos out there on YouTube, people are like, hey, they love the small pistol primer stuff or whatever in 45 ACP. We've been using large pistol primers in 45 ACP now for decades and decades, and probably back to the I'm sure probably the beginning of 45 ACP. The oldest piece of 45 ACP brass I have is 1953, and I'm still loading it all the time. And why change? So I just think the large pistol primers, in my opinion, from what I've seen, they just work better. And then the other thing too is logistically, why do I want to have to sort out small pistol primer brass with large pistol primer brass? So to me, I'll tell you straight off, with the small pistol primer brass with 45, it just seems to be kind of a dead end. If people want to mess around with it, or they got a bunch of it or whatever, I guess they can. But for me, it just seems kind of a dead end, and just seems to be kind of a waste of time to try to do two different loads with two different, very different, different primers basically. And to me, that just doesn't make sense. I've used large pistol primers for ages, and they work great. And so why change? So that's a good thing that's come out of this for me, is that essentially I've looked at that and I've gone, I'm not interested in really going down that road any further. So that's done, and I don't have to worry about that in the future. So if I do happen across some small pistol primer 45 ACP, we'll put it in a recycle bucket and send it on to its new life down the road, making cheap crap and wherever. And then the next thing is with CFE pistol powder. Now I have to kind of end up playing with this a bit more. So I'm open in the future to. I still have a bit of it. I bought it at some gun stores this year, so I need to use it up anyways. But we'll definitely give it a punt in 9mm. And I think what we'll do with that is we'll just do a standard load with 115 grain Hornady full metal jacket bullet, and we'll do that. I think that's probably a good thing to do, and so we'll see how that goes. So I'm not closed to CFE pistol as a powder, but I think a lot of times there's a bazillion powders on the market, and manufacturers are always putting new stuff out there, and stuff gets real hyped. Oh, you gotta have this, gotta have that, and all that. And a lot of times this other stuff that's been around for decades, it works just fine. And you kind of find your favorite powders or whatever. So, I'm not, at this moment in time, I'm not really kind of, dumping on it or anything like that. But so far it's not like wowed me where I'm like, oh, I got to go out and buy, 8 or 16 pounds of it and put it on the shelf. Like I do with Tight Group or Power Pistol. So far I'm just kind of like, okay. Yeah. But, I'm open, like I said, I'm not closed-minded to it. So it's a thing where, okay, we'll experiment with it more and see what we get. The other thing was the velocities. So, we bumped the powder charge up to 6.4, thereabouts. With reloading, we don't want to get too specific. You got to work up your own loads pretty much out there. Don't copy what I'm doing. You need to do your own thing. Just think of this as just like you're getting to see what I do, and how things work out for me. That might not be the way they work out for you. But, we did bump the powder charge up there a bit, but still the brass was really sooty, and obviously our velocities were a bit weak. In fact, whenever I did my shooting, I realized I had to adjust my point of aim, because usually I'm shooting loads at probably about the 850 feet per second mark with 45 ACP, I'd say, kind of on average. And so whenever you're pumping them out at 700 feet per second, it seemed to be there was like a bit more drop. So I actually had to bring my point of aim up to start getting the hits. So it just seemed to be the rounds were just drooping. So for 45 ACP, I guess, there's probably people that shoot loads in that range maybe, but it just seemed too weak to me. And that could have been part of it with the small pistol primers as well. They just don't give as much oomph as that large pistol primer would. So I don't look at any of this as a bad thing. And this is the thing, is that whenever you reload, you're going to run into all sorts of things where there's dead ends, there's roads that you go down. And it's not a negative, because then you learn what kind of works for you and what doesn't work for you. And for me, there's some things that, I see out of this that don't work for me. So it's all good, and that's what I like with reloading. You get out there, you experiment a little bit, you try some stuff out. Things work, they don't work, whatever. That's what kind of makes it fun, is figuring out, the kind of things that, will work for you. Like for me, there's different 45 ACP loads that, man, I have worked them out over time, and they're like major go-to loads for me. But, I like to experiment and see what else is out there. So that's what we did. So anyways, folks, stay tuned. We got more coming up. There's going to be, we're going to get back into, I just finished loading up a couple 300 blackout from another project that was supposed to be done back quite a while ago. It was the 150 grain Hornady full metal jacket ones. But I went ahead and decided to get more of those bullets and load up even more. So now that the press is clear of that, we're going to be getting into that and the 110 grain bullet project that I got started. So we're going to kick that off and start to get into that nitty gritty. And I think also too, I've been doing tons of brass prep and just tons of depriming and cleaning and all sorts of stuff. And so definitely this year, a lot coming up. 32 ACP, 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 9mm. We got a mega 9mm loading project coming up. 300 Blackout. There's going to be more coming with that. 7.62 NATO and 7.5 Swiss as well. So we're going to be looking at with 7.5 Swiss on replicating that GP11 load. Anyways, so it's been fun, and we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. You know, as we say, like, share, subscribe, and hope you all enjoyed it and got something out of it. And we'll be moving on to new projects now and into 2022. So thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.